Do 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 do. Oh shit! That Skype thing. I'm telling you, that little ditty. That that song. It gets stuck in my feeble little brain. Uh, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Ref Bob. What's up, man?
What's happening? What's
Uh,
happening? How you doing?
Good, my friend. You are at the tail end of a very busy Saturday on Stirring the Pot. Let me tell you. First, at 2 p.m., we had the Bushwick Beast, Chris Barton. Uh, don't don't get in the ring with that guy. Just don't. And then secondly, we just finished off not that long ago. It ran a little bit later than I thought, or started a little bit later and ran a little bit later. And we're starting on time though, because we like to keep a schedule on Certain Pop, but we have a fan roundtable. We get a bunch of fans. We get a special guest. This week's special guest was one Rad Dad himself, Bradley Belmont from the Stepdads. Love us some Stepdads.
I love the stepdads. I really, really want to work with them someday. I've seen a lot of their work. A lot of my friends have all worked with them. Like, they're just such great people.
I tell you, the Stepdads. We were talking. Just because we bring the gimmick doesn't mean we're gimmicky. Get us in the ring. We can wrestle. We've got
Yeah,
skill. Because we talk about the men and women that get in that ring. May they be a referee, because we don't know where that leads to. Uh,
exactly.
you go through the training. You learn how to take a bump. You do your stuff in the ring. You set up a ring. You want to know how to set the ring up and such like that. But Rad
That's
Dad and Papa Bear together as the stepdads, my word, those guys are something else.
they're so entertaining. They have your interest from start to finish in a match. Like you're never bored. You're always entertained. And like you said, they can pull out so much more than just like the gimmicky stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, I love their gimmick because it's so original and just so great that I love watching it. Especially the thermostat thing. Who see them both laid out, the referee's counting to seven, and all of a sudden, who touched the thermostat? And just, yeah, it's great. It kind of gives you that like old 80s, like Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior, like, it just got on. It's on. Like,
He actually had the thermostat on the show, and he had it locked up in a little lockbox. It was amazing. That
that is great.
isn't that? That's the funny shit that they bring to the table, though. And we were talking about that because on this show, and I know you've never been on a show, and I know we're kind of going on about what we did previously, but you are number three. You're the third.
Yes.
You're the third interview tonight, and we're capping it off with Ref Bob. So I appreciate your time first off, and I know we were rambling a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Believe it or not, this is my very first podcast ever.
Shut the front door, really?
Yeah, for real.
Oh wow!
For
I
real.
love. That's the thing, boys and girls. I've said it a bunch of times in the show, and I'm going to reiterate it again since it's happening right here on this show. I love, and that's why I love indie wrestling. I started these interviews not to get, not that they would ever return my messages, not to get the Hulk Hogan's
Yes.
and the Seth Rollins and all of that. I've never wanted to get the names. I always, and I truly say this right here and now, I've always wanted to do this just to get our indie boys and girls that we see on the scene, because there's not a lot of guys that do podcasts or interviews or such that reach out to a lot of these people that we see in the ring that are familiar faces. Maybe some are more popular than others in
Yeah.
different promotions or what have you, but not all the boys and girls get reached out to. And that's why I started this, was to get guys like yourself that have never done an interview.
No.
And and I'm like, wait, you want to interview me? Fuck yeah. I love referees, announcers. If you're a timekeeper, don't give a shit. Come on the show. Let's have some
I was
fun.
I was told from day one since I walked into the RICW training in the locker room, I was literally told from day one by Chris Dozer that if you had a love for wrestling, it didn't matter if you were like, the greatest in the ring. If you had a love for wrestling, there would be a job for you, whether it be the front door, a bellkeeper, a referee, and I do so much more that people don't even like realize. Like Kevin Dozer, Tip, that I mainly work for at RICW, they taught me so much that I actually take to other places. Like sometimes when I get bookings, it's not even a referee. A lot of times I go there as a referee, and then they're just like, "Oh, you know how to work camp? You know how to do that? Yeah. Oh, you know how to set up? Yeah. Oh, well, here." Like it's great. But I
The
started
mo
with no experience. No
uh,
experience whatsoever. I just walked in, I seen a show and wanted to do it and got in touch with Kevin and yeah.
the multifaceted things though that within the business they want, if you want to become a wrestler, and I'm not preaching to nobody how to become a wrestler, because Jesus
It's hard.
Christmas, I would never get in the fucking
It's
ring. Look at the size of
hard.
me. I mean, I'm built like a kendo stick, for Christ's sake. I mean, I would never get in there. Um but when you're upcoming, the people that train, they say you want to learn all facets of the business. May it be, how to set, because you want to know how to set up the ring first and foremost. I think anybody would want to know how to set the ring up, but you want to learn all the aspects of wrestling when you're becoming a wrestler.
Yes.
And I know, and I've had the people that you're speaking of. We're talking of one Chris Dozer. We're talking of one anti-hero, Chaz Marinelli. Now, those cats, they've been on not only once but twice,
Twice.
along with Miss Jacqueline Sparks. And I know
Yes.
you know that because you're from the same area. You've been under the same umbrella, if you will, under the ICW umbrella as they have. Am I mistaken to say that's where you've started at
That
RICW?
that's literally where I started. Um, I had a little edge on me for the longest time. I've always done like boxing, like some a little bit of like karate. Like I've always been like active and very physical. So anyway, I go to this RICW show. I tried to go to wrestling schools, but because of my size, no one really gave me like a chance. So I go and I check out this local show because I'll be dead serious. I didn't even know we had local wrestling in Rhode Island, or I would have been there years ago. So, I've gone to like shows since I was a little kid with my grandmother at like the West Warwick Civic Center.
Awesome.
So anyway, who's my roommate now, she actually knew T and everybody. She trained with our RWA and everything. She knew a bunch of people. She takes me to the show. I pay the cover, whatever, and I'm watching, and I'm like, I'm right there in the front row. It was Night of Honor, and it was literally 5 years ago. And I'm sitting there, and I was just fascinated. And she kept looking over. She's like, "You think you could do this?" She's like, "I know you're tough in it." She's like, "Do you think?" I don't know. She's like, "Well, they really need a hand. They're short on referees." And I looked, I was like, what? And at the time, they really only had one referee. I'm not going to mention his name because he kind of left with on bad terms. So, but there was Bobby Rossi, who was, the ring announcer for RWA. And he was also basically ring announcer a lot of times for RICW, but filled in as a rep. And Bobby Rossi's actually the person who trained me to be a rep.
Okay.
So there was just Bobby Rossi. Jeremy Bell could only make it for big shows at the time. So anyway, I'm watching the whole show, and I find out that Chaz and Jacqueline and all of them are basically, that's the board of directors, okay? I wanted to go up to them the whole show, but I kind of, in the back of my mind, was like, it's kind of disrespectful because, they haven't even wrestled yet. They're probably worried about, like, what they got to do. I know I don't want to be bothered like that at work for somebody begging me for a job. I said, I'll talk to them later. So anyway, I watched the whole thing, and there was a ladder match between Big Little Daddy Bravo, and it was Johnny Marinelli. And this ladder match was fantastic. Like, people were like popping left and right. Like, it was a brutal match. Well, at the end of the match, Johnny, who won the match and climbed the ladder, he had thrown Bravo out. He dumped Bravo out the ring. And he's climbing the ladder, and he wanted to make sure Bravo was out. So he's got this steel chair in hand, and he climbs this ladder. And he looks over at Bravo, who's just getting ready to stir, and he just tosses the ladder. The chair. The chair flies, hits Bravo's leg, and bounces up and catches Bravo in the lip. Now, where I'm sitting at the corner, I'm probably like the only person that could see actually what happened. And all I hear, because me, Bravo, and Johnny still joke about this, is, "Johnny, that was my fucking lip." And I look, Bravo's lip is leaking. So I look at my friend who's a paramedic, and I'm just like, "Dude, give me your first aid kit." So I run out to his car, I get his first aid kit. I run in the back, and I'm just like, "Yo, I got some first aid experience. My friend's a paramedic. I got a kit. Let me see." Luckily, it was nothing. But I washed him up, and that's what kind of got me in the back door, so everybody kind of noticed me. So later on that night, I get home and I waited till about 8, 9 o'clock, and I literally messaged Jazz. Found out his Facebook information, his personal information, and messaged him. And it was just like, hey, look, I'm interested in training and this and that, but mainly I hear you're shorthanded a referee, so like I can come a referee for like I'm not like you train me, I'll referee, and we'll see where I go. Apparently that he liked that message or whatever because he was literally like Tuesday, 7 o'clock, be at the same place Pawtucket. So I showed up and I don't know what it was with Chris Dozer, but there was just something. He says it to this day. He looked at me and said, first of all, like not so much my size. He was just I had a look where it was basically okay. This kid could take to like whatever punishment we throw at him, and from there, literally Dozer just he seen a like in me and just he says to this day he knew I was a sponge. Whatever they said, literally I am like I just absorbed and I tried to relate it, and I think that's what made me like so good and kind of found my niche where I am today, where I want to work more backstage. Like my goal now in wrestling is when I first started, yeah, I want to be. Everybody wants to be a big wrestler. I want to have the belt, this and that. Now, seriously, I want to own my own company. Like, I've done some things with AWL. We'll get into that in a little bit. And that really opened up my eyes that and made me realize, made a lot of other people too. Like T Phoenix, he helped me out when he realized, what I was doing with AWL. T Phoenix actually took me to the side and set me down at an RWA show backstage and showed me the cut. Bob, this is the way it works. Dozer sat with me and spent some extra time. Bob, this is why we do. And I'm really finding my niche as far as booking and writing and I find like a lot of joy out of it. So like that's what I'm looking to do in like the very like near I want to say near future. Maybe within the next 2 years, I would like to have my own company. I got a lot of guys that like are willing to work with me just because I've gone to training, I worked with them for years, like, and I'm starting to show them that I know what I'm doing. So, yeah.
I wish you the best of luck on your venture because we all know, and I know not an easy task to get a
No.
company to get a company up and running.
No.
So I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to see when and if it happens. No, you know what? Not when and if it happens.
Oh, it'll happen.
When it happens. Yes, exactly. When it happens.
Very determined individual. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
my man's got a goal. So when it happens, I can't wait to see. I'm sure we'll be seeing it on the medias and such. Because as soon as I see or hear wind of any new promotion, like there's another one that just popped up, brand spanking new promotion. They're doing their very first show June 6th in Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to see where the details go with that. But when something new pops up, I'm all over that shit.
Same here. By chance, do you know what company it is that's starting up?
The name is a little bit odd for me, and I don't want to misspeak it. So this is what I'm going to do. I don't think this is still on. I have another device. I'll turn on my device while we're speaking, and I'll get to that for you.
Because I'm the same way. I love keeping up with new things, what's going on. Like, it's like, it could be the smallest company. You can learn something new. Or you could see one person from a new company and just yell. Like, I make friends with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people, especially now that, like, I help Mike Ellis with, like, AWL. A lot of people actually, like, wrestlers from a lot of places message me. And they'll send me their work. And there's a lot of guys like Grant Dooley, MacArthur. He does a gimmick very similar to Judge Logan Chambers. And oh my God, I am trying everything in my power to get this together. But I don't care if it's me or some other these two they both do this old school like wrestling gimmick with their both strongmans. Judge Logan Chambers is the strongest man in the room against the strongest man in the world. So it's like, does this room count as the world? Or like there's so many possibilities with this match. You can go straight serious. You can go straight comedy with it because they're both so very similar in their styles. And like, it's amazing. And I've been pushing to get this done so bad.
I had Mr. Liftington on this show. I called him Livingston 3 times. I swear he was gonna, And I know he's a good guy, but I swear he wanted to fucking strangle me every time. So we had Mr. Liftington on here. I just shared a clip not that long ago, if I'm not mistaken. I forget why or where it was. It was in the comment section, and I took 2 minutes of his interview. My man speaks very, very eloquently about wrestling.
Yes.
Mr. Liftington does. I tried to get a little bit of Mr. Chambers out of him. He wasn't very happy with me asking about him, to be honest with you. So,
no, I do believe it's from my understanding. He'd have to get into more details, but it's kind of like something like a little more dead now. Like I don't think he was very happy with it. I'm not sure. Like
no, but you want to tread lightly. If you're speaking to Mr. We're friends, from one friend to another. If you're speaking to Mr. Liftington, and I know you know him well more than I do.
Oh yeah, yes. I've actually got to hang out with him a few times outside of wrestling. He's a great guy.
Yeah, don't bring up Mr. Chambers. No. Don't do that.
No.
Boys and girls, everybody, you see Mr. Liftington, he's hanging out, maybe talking to the fans, intermission, after the event, pre-event. Don't speak of Mr. Chambers. Leave that alone.
Very funny.
Now,
very funny thing about Mr. Chambers. So when I first started in the chop shop and everything, I wanted to tread very lightly because everybody was very close. I was the new guy. You know what I mean? I didn't want to step on anybody's toes or like come across. How locker rooms are. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest, I'm not a person that gets intimidated very easily. Like I made friends with Chris Dozer very, very easy. He was doing his Judge Chambers whole gimmick, and I didn't have a chance to really speak to him, and he stays in character. And here's a surprising thing. Outside of the ring, the actual Liftington character, that's how he is. That's him in real life. Like, the Liftington, not the Judge Chambers. The Liftington is who he is in actual real life. Like, he is that much of a piece. So anyway, I go to shake his hand, and I don't think he realizes this because I still do it to this day. When I first introduced myself, I just walked up to him and put out my hand and went, "Sir," and he just very sharp, "Sir," and we just shook hands, and that was it. I didn't introduce myself fully until I worked with him, and then to this day, even when I see him, I just walk up to him very sternly, and I'm just, "Sir." But yeah, I don't think he realizes that's why I do it to him because he was one of the few people that actually intimidated me. He was a full get up and I was just like, I don't want to make the man angry.
As we were speaking of Mr. Liftington and company, I have found the company that we were speaking of, or that I was trying to remember. Let me come down a little bit. No, that ain't it. All right, I'm going to go back up. It is called Heartstrong Gummy. It's kind of a weird name.
That is a weird name. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, it is an odd name. It's called Wrestle. Now, they have 2 pages. They're both public. Now, this one, it says Wrestle Association Heartstrong Gummy, GUMI. Let me see if there's more to that. No, the about, if I could, the about, a brand new independent wrestling promotion based in the northern United States. Heartstrong Gummy's goal is to try to create exciting matches in a style that can be enjoyed by all. Sounds fun for me.
That sounds very fun for me. I'm going to have to check it out. If I like it, I might see if they need a rep.
Now, I'm going to scoot to my page while we continue to chat because I know I did share something from a regular Facebook page that they have. And I'll get back to that. Let's see. Oh, and my thing's a piece of basura. If you will.
It's fine. I just got a brand new laptop. Well, I can't say brand new There's a really long story with the laptop. I got a really nice one. Let's just say I got rid of my junky computer that wouldn't stay running if it wasn't plugged in and wouldn't connect to the internet unless I was 2 feet away from the router.
Oh man. So you're out of the Rhode Island area, and as we've spoken, I before we hit the old record button, you know a lot of the talent that I've had on Stirring the Pot. So you are familiar with the show and what we do on here. Can I ask you a question since you are familiar with the show, my friend,
Yes,
if
sir.
you don't mind? Um, and I'm not asking to kiss my ass because I want true feedback. When you watch or listen to the show, because I know when I do the talents from the Chop Shop area or the Rhode Island area, that's usually where most of the base are listening. And I
Yeah.
know it's spread around more than that, but I know that's where the majority of the base is. Um, are you enjoying the show? What I'm bringing to the table, what I'm trying to give to the
I,
fans, because this isn't my show, my friend. This is
I,
our show.
Me personally, I love it. You know,
Oh,
I always enjoy, and there's a lot of times I'll kind of like bug people to bring up like stories, like some of the newer guys in the locker room. I'm a big history buff. So like,
okay.
if you could tell me history about anything or backstories that you have about anything, I enjoy it. Um, One of my biggest things I did like to do, and I still do to this day, even before I started wrestling, I love listening to wrestling podcasts. I love listening to the behind the scenes things that happen from stuff that I watch. I don't care for it now why they're talking about like things that might happen but you get what I'm saying. Like I like listening to that. Oh well, this is why this happened when you were a kid. Like you know what I mean. Like so one of my biggest things I like people I like to listen to is Jim Cornette. Believe it or not,
Okay.
unpopular opinion, but Jim Cornette is actually my wrestling hero. He's the one who taught me that you don't have to be the best wrestler in the world. Just learn to bump, be entertaining, and be willing to do anything to make the show go on. But as far as your podcast or anything, I love it. I love it.
I appreciate the kind words. And that's why I started it because back to the independent scene, the talented men and women that we
Mhm.
see. Again, trying to get a little bit more of a spotlight, shine a little more light on those talents and whatnot. Because we see them at the shows. Now, they do spend time with the fans, intermission, pre show, post
Mhm.
show. And I get that. And we love that stuff. But we only get such a small portion of their time while they're
Yes.
at the shows, and we can't sit and conversate like we do on something like this. So that's the reason why I started it, because I wanted to get a backstory of one specific wrestler, Yusef 13, out
Mhm.
of the Massachusetts area, and we were just hanging out, talking in regular conversation,
Yep.
and he started telling me his backstory, and I looked at him and I go, dude, this is the shit that we need as fans to like know our talent more often. And that's how it started, is by listening to Yusef's story and bringing it to Stirring the Pot.
Well, one thing I can definitely say is smaller guys like us, like, indie wrestlers, mill wrestlers, especially a lot of the chop shop guys, because I know a lot of these guys cancel paid bookings to go do a charity event. I've done the same thing. Like, I've had a pay refer, and there was a charity event, and I was given the option of a payday or a charity event, and I went into this chat, and a lot of the guys are like that, and we don't get a lot of exposure, like as much exposure as some like other companies. You know what I mean? T himself, like I remember talking to T about like finances because I was talking about rental fees with Mike Ellis, half rental fees and this and that, and just business basically. And
Mm-hmm.
he was explaining to me like what he basically makes, and I understood what Kevin at RCW made. And honestly, I'd much rather work for a place like that does it all for like the fans and just because they love it than someone that's looking to just do it to get famous and paid. Like, yeah, everybody wants to get signed, but at the end of the day, we really do it for the kids and like, you know, the parents and things like that. People that don't get out a lot. Ed Teller. I'll give a shout out to Ed Teller and his family. Me and the guys, we go above and out of our way for someone like Ed Teller. He's been there since day one. Doesn't matter if there's 5 fans. It doesn't matter if there's 100 fans. Ed is right there, the same seat every week, sharing for his favorite. It's a ritual, and we are pretty like he spends all kinds of money there. So like I remember Halloween, we were giving away candy for like the kids. I went and bought a bag of candy. Aiden got his bag of candy. I literally went and bought a bag of candy. It was $1. Gave RCW the dollar, and literally walked up to Ed, and I was like, "Yo, Ed, yeah, like you know what I mean? Like we love the exposure like that, and, love the interaction with the fans, and we don't get like, a lot of us don't get a lot of like really big exposure and get really put out there. Like we have so many phenomenal wrestlers that were in the chop shop. Mike Montero, Chaz Marinelli, you got Christopher Dozer, you got T Phoenix, AJ, like who don't AJ is phenomenal. Like in the 5 years that I've been there and to watch him and Jacqueline Sparks like just blow up the way they did is like, oh my God, it's heartwarming. And they don't get the exposure that they really need. Like, you know what I mean? And so like someone like you doing this for us, it's great. It's why anytime your podcasts pop up, I share them. And especially if it was one of my brothers, I'm spreading that everywhere.
I appreciate that, sir, because that's what we want. We want our friends that are seeing their friends and spread that love because it's just a little extra light because it's so hard. The wrestling business is very hard to rise in, especially when you're a singles wrestler because there's so many. There's a
Yeah.
lot of wrestling. Wrestling is more flourishing than ever in our existence, in the existence of wrestling itself.
There's so many
So
different styles out there. Like,
mhm,
like
absolutely. So
it's crazy. Yeah. So
with
the
it being so flourishing, it's hard, and everybody wants to stand out, and they're
uh,
always trying to figure out what can I do to be different than the first, the previous guy or girl, or So I mean, it's a tough gig. You got to have some perseverance, and you got to have the passion for it. You know that firsthand.
oh yes, oh yes.
Now I did find the post I was looking for that company we were speaking
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
If I may again, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see. It's announcement time. This was put out yesterday at 9:00 p.m. It's announcement time. Everyone saves the date. Now, the reason, and I'm going to get into this, the reason why I'm doing this is because we like to learn about new promotions, new talent. We've
Exactly.
never had Ref Bob on here. We're learning about Ref Bob, talking chop shop talent and such.
Mhm.
And this is a prime example here
So
of what we like to do on the show.
yes, it's something like I said. I love to do myself. I love to watch new companies. I love to watch new talent
Mhm.
grow. Like it's how wrestling
Absolutely.
develops in a whole.
Yep. So it's announcement time. Everyone saves the date because on June 6th, Wrestle Association Heartstrong Gummy, and that's the full name of it. If you want to look it up on Facebook, it's 3 separate words: Association Heartstrong Gummy, Gumi. Uh, Seems like a whole lot to
That is
kind of roll off the tongue, if you
yeah.
will. We'll be having our first event. The Hands That Threaten Doom is the title of the event.
Okay.
In Holyoke, Massachusetts, at Kevin Landry's Pro Wrestling Combine. As of now, this is being planned as a closed set event. However, if the current COVID situation takes a turn for the better, the situation will be reevaluated with the talent, and we will go forward with what they feel is the safest decision, as we need to understand that we need to keep these people safe so they can continue to entertain us. With that being said, this also means that we will start announcing talent. Uh, that's where it gets good, when you start seeing the
That's what.
roster come
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Uh, you won't have to wait long if you're a patron subscriber. So they do have a patron or Patreon, or how the fuck, I don't know how you pronounce it.
Pronounce it. Yeah.
Uh, I'll call it a patron. How about that? We'll call it a patron. It's French. It's French. But anywho, let's see. Okay, if you're a patron subscriber, because you will find out the first announced talent tomorrow, being today. If not, you'll find out the next day. It'll go public on Sunday. So if you're not a subscriber to their Patreon or whatever the hell, you'll
Whatever.
find out on Sunday.
If we're not part of their patron.
I would like to thank all of you for your support, because without it, this wouldn't be a possibility. I can't wait to keep sharing things with you as well as we start the climb to do June 6th. And as always, don't ever give up. And that is, again, from Wrestler Association Heartstrong Gummy.
Gummy.
It's a little lengthy.
Such a name to roll off the tongue.
But I think they came up with something they wanted. Again, we were just speaking of this, my friend. Something to stand out.
Oh.
I think they might have done that because whenever I seen that about, I don't know, I want to say it was a few days back, maybe even a week or so ago, when I very first saw the new company announcement, I'm like, wait, what? I do kind of forget all of the name, but I remember the word Gummy and Heartstrong. They really stand out to my brain. Not the entire one. So little by little, I'm sure I'll remember the name of the company. But I didn't mean to take time away from Ref Bob.
No, I want to know things. You just taught me something new, and I love to learn a new companies, things like
yes.
Like I'm very willing to travel. Like I love hearing new companies, and if it's something that's catches my eye, the way I look at it too, it's ring time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's literally ring time. It's the only way you get better, and it's just ring time. You know.
When it comes to wrestling, you can never have enough experience.
No. Refereeing, the same thing. It's ring. I've come a long way myself as a referee. It's experience and ring time. I struggled a lot, believe it or not, even as a referee in the beginning. Now I have this thing where I don't want to know nothing. I don't want to know nothing. Actually, very funny story about that. We did just before COVID got bad. Dick Lane, we lost a chop shop. Everyone was down. Dick Lane did the most awesome thing. He rented a small storage bin with a ring in it. It was a storage facility with a ring in it. So we all go and wrestle. All of us chop shop guys, we're there. We got a barbecue. We're having a blast. So anyway, I want to get out of this habit of not counting the three, because I had a very bad habit of, not making the full three count, hesitating and, thinking wanting to give everybody a fair shot, thinking I seen something that wasn't there, whatever, just not making that three count. So, looking at Kevin, it was Chaz Marinelli and it was Christopher Dozer against Hot and Wild, which is Devin Baker and Deshawn. And Chris Dozer is trying to warn me that there's this kick coming that I better duck, because Chaz is literally planning on throwing a kick over my shoulder. And I'm just like, no, leave me alone. And I'm like, leave me alone. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, all I see is a bright green flash. And I don't know what in my brain yelled duck, but if I ever showed you the video, all you see is me look over and just drop to the ground like I got shot. Like, boom, and this boot goes flying. I'm just looking, he's like, cow. I'm just, oh yeah. I'm like, you almost picked me, dude.
Now, I've heard you talk a lot, between what you do in the ring as a referee, what you want to do as a promoter, if you will. I've heard you talk without saying the word psychology involved on how you're speaking. I see the psychology within you, if you will. As a fan, I see it come out because I speak to a lot of the talent and I try to pay attention, very close attention to what's going on in the ring for psychology. And when they speak to me on the shows, I try to soak it in as a fan. And I've learned over time on how to pick up a lot of stuff when it comes to the psychology end of wrestling, if you will. But I'll never be one of those fans that says, I know it all in the business. I know the tiny ass fucking sliver of the business. I don't know jack shit about the business, but I do know a little bit.
Those types of fans go two ways with me. You have someone like again. I'm gonna give a shout out because I love them to death. They're like our biggest supporters. Ed Tellier and his family. Ed knows a lot about wrestling. Knows more than like a fan should. But Ed doesn't say nothing. Ed says he enjoys the show. It's probably the only time I get annoyed with fans, and it's sometimes like online fans, and I have to catch myself. I have to like yell at myself about kayfabe sometimes. But like these fans that think they know, or like actually do know it, and they're just like, and it's like, dude, why are you doing that? Like, like don't do that. Like I don't care if you know. Like, just why are you doing that? Okay, like don't. That's usually when you'll see me like probably about the only time you'll see me like on a fan or anybody like lose my pay. Like, all right, like why did you even pay to like why do you watch wrestling then? Like like if you're gonna bet, why do you watch it?
Exactly. If you're just gonna psychoanalyze it and nitpick everything that's going on through the match, I couldn't enjoy it as a fan
No.
to watch a match like that. That would be I couldn't do that. But my point, bringing up the psychology is, obviously you went through some training through the chop shop and the boys and girls that helped you, because it's never one person. There's always multiple people within your training. So that part of the
So many
training,
people. So many
we're
people.
yeah, absolutely. One part of the puzzle specifically because of the way you've been speaking. Who do you think gave you the best part or training to gain that psychology of wrestling? Who brought that to you?
Two people, but mainly one. One person I will give the most love for, and it was just because he loves it himself, and I think it's the fact from day one he's seen that passion in me. Like anytime Chris Dozer speaks about psychology, he will tell you my eyes are snapped in attention. Like I block out. It's like I absorb what he says. He has taught me a lot about psychology. Chris Dozer, like, is the type of person I can come up to if I have an idea, and he'll listen to my whole idea. And a lot of my ideas, he actually likes. I just got to learn to simplify them a little bit, but he loves it because it's the fact that I'm taking everything he taught me, and not just in ring psychology. I'm like, just from start to finish of a show is what he has taught me. Like a lot more than just like a basic wrestler learns about like he has taught me how a show runs from 3 hours before the fans come in to an hour after that show ends. He has taught me every last aspect of and how it all comes together. Like the way he taught it to me, like it was fantastic. And then the other person I will give like all the love in the world to is Mike Baker teach.
Okay.
I'm a very tough person to teach how to wrestle. I am very stiff. I in my first year, I didn't like to be manhandled. It's why me and Alberson became such good friends. Alberson literally had to come in the ring and just toss me around like a rag doll to loosen me up, and I am so sorry about that. And yes, I was a very tough one. I still am very tough. And the thing is, though, I know where I stand with wrestling. I'm never going to be champ. Wrestling is not like I don't want to say wrestling as a whole is not for me. In ring work, I am good for about 3 minutes, and that's about it.
Now, as a referee, we were talking psychology.
Mhm.
As a referee, you don't always come away clean from these matches. You take a bump, if you will. Uh, Now, you're a thinner guy, thinner stature, if you will. The guys you're working within the ring aren't thinner stature, and I know a lot of the guys at the chop shop, a lot of big boys down there, or up there, I should say, because I'm in Connecticut. Um, when 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 there is discussion of, okay, we're doing this, and oh yeah, you're taking this, and then we're gonna do this and do. Are you up for taking a bump within a match, my friend?
Here's how this conversation usually went in the chop shop after I learned how to bump and actually took my very first ref bump. And the willing, because there's not a lot of referees that are
Yeah.
basically straight referees that aren't wrestlers that just don't want to bump. Jeremy Bell. It's not that Jeremy Bell doesn't want to bump because Jeremy Bell will take a ref bump. Like he'll get a collision, something like Jeremy Bell will take a ref bump. But Jeremy Bell also tried to train as a wrestler before he was a referee. It's a private story me and him have had because he gives me all the credit in the world for every week getting in there with the boys and getting tossed around. And I'm talking about just training in the like I'll get in for my size. I'll get in there. I have no fear. I have a lot of guys aren't really worried about like me getting hurt. Like you know what I mean? Like I've shown that I can be good as far as that. So yeah, like Jeremy Bell, he tried the bump and apparently he got injured, and he just decided it wasn't for him. Well, the only thing I really got down packed within like my first week of wrestling was on a bump. So yeah, when it came down to bumping, it was kind of like easy for me. So yeah, in the chop shop, anytime there's like an excessive bump, like best example, Hunter King got suspended at RICW, and he was coming back, and they wanted to make a big statement. So he comes out and he's manhandling all the wrestlers and everything. So all the referees got to come out, and we got to get him out of the ring. Well, no referee's gonna get in the ring with Hunter King. Like the dude's 7 feet tall. Like, nope. What's little Bob do? I run out there and I slide into the ring like I was Hulk Hogan. I got up into his face. I said, "Get out of my ring right now." And he just looked at me and smiled, and I took about a 10-foot choke slam.
Oh shit!
Yep. Got video and everything. I literally almost, if we were, Hunter Kane will tell you, if we were legit, another quarter inch over the top of my skull would have hit the plate from the ceiling.
Oh my god!
I went up like a rocket and straight down. And that's not the first time I've been chokeslammed by him. there was
Oh my
one time.
god!
There was one time I wanted to get like we had a plan. I was gonna get destroyed by him, and we just got tired of doing the same old him grabbing me and just choke slam. So we decided to do a one arm choke slam. And what happened was in mid-ear, I wound up turning crooked. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to land on my shoulder. So I don't know how. And I just remember Chris Dozer in the back being like, dude, it looked like he killed you. But anyway, in mid-ear, I don't know how, but I wound up coming down and I topped and I wound up rolling. So I wound up catching my side here, but I didn't get hurt. Like it hurt. Like don't get me wrong, it hurt. It knocked the wind out of me. But I didn't break anything or anything. But I wound up like taking this awkward side like bump and wound up rolling and coming down on my face and doing like a Ric Flair face bump. So I just remember Hunter King cutting his promo and everything, and he just looks over, and I'm supposed to be laid out on my back, and he just looks over, and he's got this confused look, like, how the hell did he face bump a choke slam? And I on the back, and I was just like, dude, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, I just like, I went up crooked. He was like, Hunter Kane hit that one hit. I was like, yeah, I know. We talked about it, but we didn't have really time to like work through it when we decided to do it. I was like, so like, I went crooked, and he was just like, dude, Bob, it looked like he killed you, dude. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done for the night, dude.
So Hunter Kane killed Ref Bob.
Yeah.
Fun fact, boys and girls. We just learned that Ref Bob died.
Oh, he's not the only one. I've taken a pie pan from Chris Dozer. I've taken Chris Dozer's knockout punch, which I'll be honest, I was actually scared at first to take that, and luckily from spending like quite a few years of my life getting punched in the face for fun, it actually wasn't that bad. It actually wasn't. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it stung. It stung. But yeah, basically it was him and Chaz Marinelli for the Universal title. And this was for the new Universal title belt, like the one that they have now that Jacqueline Sparks owns. Mm-hmm. So, they unveiled that and everything. And basically, I'm in the corner. And Dozer goes for the knockout punch. And Chaz ducked it. I'm in the corner and just pow, I'm out. So I took that. One of my other funniest things was I took a spear and a stink face. A spear, a cannonball, and a stink face from Alverson. And I'm
all in one match. All in one
Yeah,
match?
yep, in one match. And mind you, Albertson's my friend, and everybody knew he was my friend. So the deal with back here is Albertson's been slaying monsters for like weeks.
Mhm.
He's tired, he's sore. And the person he's facing, they're just coming back. Okay. So basically, it was one of those things where it was backstage where nobody wanted to do the JLB. So it got worked out to be a clown. So we worked it out to be like a little better because everybody knows me and Brian are friends. So Chaz gave us the go-to to do it, and basically, I count they brawl with each other. I count Albertson out, and as soon as I say 10 and I ring the bell, Albertson just pops up out of the ground, and he just looks at me. And everybody knows again that me and Albertson are really good friends, and he pops up and he's just like, "Did you just count me out, you little motherfucker?" And I looked at him. I was like, "Well, like I had to count to 10," and he slides in the ring. He's like, "You just counted me out. I've been killing monster, and you count me." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he just kind of turns around and he comes back and he just decks me. So
Oh,
I kind of stumble back and he comes across. He hits me with the spear. I land in the corner. He comes across. He hits me with the cannonball. Now that was supposed to be the end of it. Sarah Rose, Mike Montero's girlfriend, literally asked him because she thought it was another referee that, again, won't be named. And it turned out to be me refereeing that match because he didn't want to, take the bump. So it wound up being me. And apparently Sarah had asked Distinct Face to referee. Well, Brian, even though I wasn't the right referee, Brian took it upon himself to like, I mean, he did ask me. I'm not gonna say he did it. Like, I said it was fine, but yeah, I wound up getting a stick. But like, after he cannonballed me and everything, he went to work, walk out, and the whole crowd's going nuts because there's Bob. Like the crowd chants for my death. The crowd literally chants for my death. Hit the ref. It's Bob. Hit the ref. Give me 1 second. I gotta cut out.
yeah, no, no, not a problem. Uh, these stories that we get, these are the stories that we enjoy of getting on the show, Ref Bob. So I appreciate you telling us.
I love telling these stories, and it's actually great for like I think it's me personally. I think it's actually also for like other people, like really close people to the chop shop, to hear like some of these stories themselves because they've been there since like even long before I've been there, like since day one when they were in Providence. You know what I mean? Like and before that. So like I think it's really cool that they get a chance to like listen into some of like the antics that happen backstage and like the little jokes and things that happen.
Uh,
You know, but yeah,
uh,
basically, to go back to you asking about ref bumping and whatever, the best way I could put it, I am the Spike Dudley of referees.
that's gonna be. I name every episode differently. That's gonna be the name of this episode. I am the Spike Dudley of referees. That's the name of this episode.
Well, at one point, I did have the thing of hardcore referee going on for a while, just because I would take so many bumps, but also RICW for about a year didn't have any other refs, and I just agreed to literally officiate every single match. So
Do
like,
everything.
I was literally in between matches while Andy's announcing. I'm running in the back, like I got a bottle of water by the entranceway, and just hoping nobody kicks it. And I'm just running, taking a swig, running back. And little Daddy Bravo, he was always awesome with that because he would look over and just always after every show, y'all gotta give Bob props. He did every single match. That boy didn't even complain. Like there was no complaint, no nothing. Like you gotta give that boy props. Like,
uh, now I have seen shows, events where there has been only one referee, and I got to give it to you guys in the stripes. Not only to do what you do in general, but to do what you do for a full evening running, like you're saying, you're only getting very, very minimal time in between each match to run back, wipe some of that shit off of you, get a little drink. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I applaud you guys that pull off the whole show. I mean, holy fuck.
well, another shout out to Jeremy Bell because Jeremy Bell has helped me come a very long way as a referee. Like Bobby Rossi taught me the basics on being a referee, but Jeremy Bell kind of took me under his wing. Like if I do something wrong, Jeremy Bell is the very first person before Chaz or anybody in the back of the board of directors yell at me. Jeremy Bell is the first person to greet me. If I do something right, Jeremy Bell is the first person to greet me. Kid, you did great. Or if I did something, come here, and he will literally sit me down, and I will literally sit like it's my dad yelling at me. You know, and the funny thing is I think I'm actually older than Jeremy. And I'll sit there like he was like, you know, my dad's scolding me, and I'll sit there and I'll take it, you know, and so I'll give him like a lot of props there. But yeah, like it's been a ride, man. It's been a long ride.
Uh, Absolutely. And you think back at some of the stuff, what you've done to get to where you are and the things in between and such. And I want to talk about, and I know there's so much talent uh, eh, that was residing at the Chop Shop. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on. But I want to touch upon two subjects right now. One of them um, is going to be there's a talent, and I've talked about this kid not only with some of the Rhode Island talent, but some of the talent that's in Connecticut that is either associated with him or knows of him, and that is one Coach C.
Love
Now,
Coach C. And Coach C, there's your shout out, buddy. Coach
uh,
C.
last night we had Cold Cash on, Ryan Frost and TJ Howell, collectively known as Cold Cash. We had them on. We talked to Cold Cash for 1 hour, 50 minutes on Stirring the Pot last night, Ref Bob. It was crazy. But we really touched upon Coach C. They wouldn't call him Coach C because they call him Caddy C.
Caddy C.
Yeah, Coach C doesn't like that. But I wanted to, just bring it to conversation because I like saying it myself, to be honest with you. But Coach C, he's a talent, young kid, knows how to use his words, knows the psychology, my friend, as we were speaking before. The promos, because again, with Cold Cash, we were talking promos, very important. You need promos to kind of get that story rolling. When it's just in ring and you don't get nothing pre to that, you gotta, pay attention and see what you're trying to present to us. But if there's promos involved leading up to this match, my word, we the fans, we absolutely love that shit. And Coach C, really good with that stuff. Talk to us about Coach C.
Well, firstly, I'll give Coach C is it's not just his promo skills. It's even him in the backstage. I will give him all the credit that is due. He is what 15, 16 years old. I have been backstage at AWL shows, you know, and basically, you hear from podcasts themselves. You know, sometimes the locker rooms are. I don't want to do this. I don't want. I won't. He has been such a big help. Okay, not only advertising, making posters for about RIC or any like place he works for. That kid is literally giving me ideas. Hey Bob, what if I did this? Like I've been stuck in a corner. He was like, Bob, what if I did, or what if you did? I've just looked at him and been like, kid, you had Coach Willer, and he talked about the match with him and Brian Sire and the whole war that escalated and actually spilled over into RICW because they feuded for a while there too, which was great. That was all a big partnership of me, Sire, Coach Will, and Coach C. And it literally all really started with Sire hitting me up and basically asking me what AWL was or if I was starting my own promotion, which I told him no, I was helping out Mike Ellis. Told him some plans that we had talked about, me and Mike Ellis had talked about, and basically he asked if he could work. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of needed like an old school Ric Flair, like, I'm gonna win the belt. I'm gonna keep this belt by any means necessary, and I want the fans to respect the fact that like I'm a good wrestler, but I'm also gonna keep this by any like I needed a Ric Flair heel. But in order to have a Ric Flair heel, you kind of have to have like a Hulk Hogan face. So right off the bat, Sire was just like, Coach Will, you give me the belt, I want to fight Coach Will. Make that happen, Bob, and I'll work for you. So I got that together. And anyway, discussing what was all going to go down in our big master plan, Coach C had a big, big part in all of that. A lot of the ideas that happened, me taking the Sire effect was Coach C's idea, and it worked out beautiful. We were kind of stuck in the corner where somebody didn't show up. So we had to rewrite something, but the person that was in the match wasn't like a permanent roster member. So like, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of a continuation of a storyline, just without the person that was supposed to be in the story, like there, the other party there. And to make it all make sense, we decided to like basically I was going to take a side effect. You know, everybody knows I'm part owner of the company, this and that. I put out these stipulations. These were the stipulations. The only thing I did not put out there was if you put your hands on me and I DQ'd you. And now that was, but yeah, a lot of that was a lot of like things that happened during that whole feud. Um, the whole, you know, things that happened with him and Coach Will that was very entertaining in RICW. A lot of that all came from Coach C, who was 15 years old. Like, you know, I mean, yeah, I understand. Like, you know, his dad was like his dad's one of my heroes. I didn't have cable growing up. I had a black and white TV. Grew up kind of poor, three sisters, so I had my own room with a little black and white TV. I either watched Greyhound Racing, Lincoln Greyhound Racing, or I used to watch the old public access wrestling that they had, the Rhode Island. I always get it confused. I want to call it RICW now, and it's not. But you know what I'm talking about, the old public access. And I used to watch Wolverine and Danger Boy and Don Biadani and all these guys that I actually get to share a ring with now, and like, you know, actually, like, you know, they kind of like basically work for me now, and it's kind of awesome. But yeah, Coach C is like, oh my god, the knowledge that that kid like just picked up and absorbed. And the same thing, I'll give the shout out the same thing to like AJ, you know, AJ Phoenix. You know, he's the same. He's absorbed so he was. They were never pushed to do it. You know what I mean? Like nothing like that. They just they found a passion for it. They loved it. They absorbed it. They've been around. You know, AJ, he's gonna blow up. As soon as wrestling gets back, that kid is gonna blow up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the same thing with Coach C. As soon as that boy turns 18 years old, well, first of all, as soon as he turns 18 years old, I feel bad for him. There's so many people that shop him. But it's 18, that kid is going to blow up. Like once he's old enough to like travel and really get himself out there, the kid's gonna blow up. He doesn't even have to be a wrestler. Like what he does as a manager, he's gonna blow up. You know, like he's gonna make it.
I love how you said when he turns 18, I feel so bad for him because everybody's gonna want to chop him. I love that. That's not to take away from all the kind words because very many kind words about Coach C, but I mean to end it like that is effing hilarious, man. That
Well,
that
okay.
is so funny.
The reason I say that is Coach C is actually very, very old school when it comes to his promos.
Yeah.
And what I mean by old school is that boy literally just talks junk off the top of his head. So like, there's so many people that like share a ring with them, and like I watched this 15-year-old like stump people for work. And it's just like this kid literally just cut a dusty promo on you. Like, oh my god, this 15-year-old just literally cut a dusty promo, and you can't even do nothing.
I bring my father to all of the shows, okay, and we have a grand time. And it's come to where my father has become a little something something. We call him Papa Kincaid at the shows, and the fans, the workers alike, they love him some Papa Kincaid. Uh, but he gets questioned at different shows from different people and different demographic, and it goes something like this. Uh, how does he know or how does he memorize all of that stuff that he like to watch me do a promo with some of these guys and girls, like
Mhm.
running up to him and pulling this shit off, and how does he memorize all of that stuff? My dad goes, that's all on the fly, and they're like,
Yep.
wait, what? uh, to do it on the fly is insanely hard and insanely dangerous and insanely fun. I absolutely love it all, and it's actually part on every single interview I do. It's actually in the description. I go off the seam of my ass or something like that. I never. It's all on the fly. Is it dangerous? Yes. Is it fun?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll be honest, I get more joy now working on the fly in the ring. Like, you know, just as a rep, like I have so much more fun now working with like when I first started, I was very stiff, like you know what I mean? I had to be told what to do. Like, I'll give a shout out to Tony Clash, and Don Perillo and Jerry. They were three people that actually helped me come into my own. One of the very first matches I did was actually a big match with Tony Clash and Don Perillo. And Tony Clash literally took me and said, "You the new referee? I like the way you dress. That's nice and sharp. You look good. You look the part. What experience you have? I said, none. Okay, I can respect that. He goes, just listen to me. And the whole match, as like they're doing their thing, he's literally like telling me where I should be standing over here. You want to get over here? Yeah, you want to watch out because like, and like he just got me comfortable in the ring.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll give a big shout out there because MAW, believe it or not, actually helped me out a lot. Brian Elverson and David X. I had literally just did like 2 trainings and one RICW show. I did 1 match, and it was an underground. They were doing this show. It was now all of our shows at RICW are underground unless it's a big pay-per-view. But back in the day, we had 2 different shows, and it was this one was underground, and it's basically like a little area where I could work. You know, a lot of some of the younger talent could all work, and it didn't really matter if you like screwed up or not. You know, it was videotaped. It was before also RCW got like completely rebranded and got blown up the way it did. It's like when I started 5 years ago, I remember there just being like 5, 6 people. You know, and like I couldn't believe it compared to like what Night of Honor was. Like, wait, why is there only this many people for night? But you know, we all got together, we rebranded everything, and now we're all blown up. But yeah, anyway, you know, I did that, and like I had no real experience. So it was a Sunday. It was early on a Sunday morning, and Albertson and David X Ross, get your gear. You're coming with us. We're going to the XLBOI Center. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay. Albertson drives me into the locker room and just literally introduces me to Jerry. He goes, "This is Bob. He's the new RCW referee. Give him a match. Does he have any experience? No. Teach him." And literally, I wound up working the show, and I was just like, okay, like thank you, big huge crowd, but like Albertson said, he's like, I had to get you out of that fear. He goes, I had to get you out there to do it, and he's like, you did great. He's like, yeah,
Absolutely getting in there because I mean, I know we're all scared of change or challenges ahead of us or whatever. And I'll be the first to admit I'm a fucking pussy. But you know, when you're trying to persevere in an industry such as wrestling, if you don't dive in and just, you know, you got to get in there and just do it.
If you can't conquer your fears, oh my god. And I'll be honest, wrestling is the best thing to conquer like any of your like almost anything. Like I hate to say it, but wrestling has literally been almost like a cure for me. I feel so much better in the last 5 years than I have in a very long time. Like,
well, that's what we do for as fans, and I've spoken about that many a time on this show. That's why we go to the shows. You know, you're still a fan, very evident the way you speak of wrestling. But that's why you would go to the shows as a fan to get away from the fucking bullshit, everything going around. And excuse me. And as I've described, when I personally, for me, when I walk through any door of any show or I pull in that parking lot of any event, shit just kind of disappears little by little as I walk up and I get to that door. I walk through the door. Everything that just happened, the work week, a fight with the girl, you know, you had to ground your kid for 1,000 years because he was being a jackass, whatever. It all kind of goes away for that couple hours you're at these events. For me personally, great therapy for us, the fans. And I know it is for you and the talent that are in ring. It kind of goes both ways.
Yep. I'll use RICW as an example because that's my home. I am very, very, very comfortable there. And to this day, getting ready for a show, getting ready to go to the show, I have so much anxiety. I'm like, "Roar." Then as soon as I get into the parking lot and I walk into the building and I start shaking hands and I start seeing my brothers and sisters, that anxiety goes away. You know, then I get told my job, you know, what I got to do. And, you know, like I said, I've learned how to do a lot backstage. So Chaz, Doze, all the guys, they rely on me for a lot. A lot of the great matches they had, the bat on a pole match where it's Sire and, oh my God, I'm Pyro. Sorry, Pyro. So sorry, buddy. Anyway, the bat on a pole match, you know, Chaz came up to me at the beginning of the show. Hey, Bob, I got these 2 poles. There's a bat on a pole mat. I need you to break those up. I need them to be safe. And like, you know, like things like that, I get like I get it's a good feeling when I know like my brothers and sisters trust me for things.
Right.
A match that Big Daddy Bravo, Little Daddy Bravo, and Dozer had, and there was a barbed wire board. They literally had a barbed wire board in the corner, and literally Dozer was just like, I want Bob, and like have Bob out there. And I was out there and the whole time. Nobody realized that as I'm sliding. I don't know if you ever seen any of my work. I am literally like a parkour rep where I am sliding and jumping around the ring. Like, I don't do the drop to the knee like count. There's a little like baseball slide going in. So anyway.
I have seen your work at MAW specifically because I was going to the MAW for a little while regularly. So I have seen.
So yeah, you see my tumbling away and my cat like reflexes of, oh my god, I don't want to get hit. So yeah, the whole time I'm doing this match, I got a set of bolt cutters in my pocket.
Oh shit!
And it was just in case I didn't like what I seen with the barbed wire. I was asked nicely, if that barbed wire looks like it's stuck, you cut that out of him, Bob. If that board looks like it's unsafe or anything, you scrap the whole next spot. And I'll say it right now, I scrapped the spot because when Bravo hit it, I almost thought I needed the pliers because one of the barbed wires got stuck in the back of his skull right there. Luckily, when he came out of the corner, it pulled itself out, but it loosened all the barbed wire. So I seen all that loose barbed wire, and I was just like, that's not safe. And I literally just threw it out. And I believe it was Bravo. I kind of forget if it was Bravo or Dozer that looked at me and asked where the board was. And I just kind of very like shiftily was just like, and they were like, okay, no problem. And they just went into like, they kind of like just called it audible and just went through. And afterwards I went backstage. I pulled the board out. They were like, what was wrong? I'm like, oh, the barbed wire came out. Look at the back of Bravo's head. And just I'm like, look at the back of Bravo's head. I literally slapped Bravo with this cool gel patch. And he was just like, Bob, what was that you just put on? I thought you hit me with a wet towel. I'm like, nah, dude, you are bleeding.
We have been chit-chatting for 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Nice.
It feels like it's only been about 20 minutes at most. This has gone by very, very quickly. Again, we'd like to have this show as it's just a couple of friends talking wrestling.
Yeah.
You've been absolutely fantastic through this whole thing, my friend. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
There's a couple things that we haven't talked about, and I don't care if it's past an hour. Now, I don't have no specific runtime, but my average is about an hour. So that's kind of what I usually go by. But to bring this to a tail end, there's a couple things that we have not talked about. One, you were speaking of getting your own company within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
All right. First question, do you have the name in mind?
I have a couple of names in mind. I'm not going to speak them out yet because it's still based on ideas I want to do.
Just whisper it. Just whisper it. Nobody will hear it. Just whisper
it. One thing I've learned from Chaz T and Dozer, you got ideas, keep them up here because people will steal them.
Keep it tight, baby. Keep it tight. Yes.
One of the things I would really love to do is, again, I take what I was told very literal. Chaz, Dozer, and all of them will tell you, like, I've had to be given special instructions because I've taken something too literal. I was always told that never forget where you came from. Never forget your roots. I will stick with RICW to like the day. Like I have literally again like if they couldn't find another referee, I would go as far as just not do it like another because they needed me. You know what I mean? Like that's my home. They gave me everything that I am today. And with that said, one of the things I would love to do is kind of rehash the idea they had before about the underground. Not so much being a full like, it's my company, but I'd like to be put in like a role where like, maybe I could like prove a little bit where I can book and things like that with Chris Dozer's help. You know what I mean? Like he could work on the RICW thing, but my point is I would like to have a little place where a lot of guys don't get a lot of time to shine. Like RICW's got so many workers now that want to work for, and they got so many great storylines and this and that. And, they always try to give anybody that shows up like a match. I love to give a spot that lets other people like, kind of like, I hate to say it, but kind of like RICW's own version of NXT. What NXT used to be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, work here, and your whole goal is to work here to move up here. Basically an idea where they can see how, because I've seen it firsthand. At first, I didn't believe it, but I've actually seen it firsthand. Putting a wrestling belt on somebody, sometimes that changes people. Like, well, I'm not even going to say sometimes. It changes people. Sometimes for the better, a lot of times for the worse. A lot of people get brash, they get cocky, they kind of get really ignorant, forget where they came from. You know what I mean? Towards the fans, towards the workers in the back, like they kind of get that old school Rocky Maivia attitude. Well, The Rock don't do this. Like you get what I'm saying? And I'd like to give a place where we can show how you're gonna behave before you hit like kind of like the bigger main. I know right off the bat if I run a show, it's not going to be like a big overnight success story. It's going to be a work in progress. You know what I mean? You got to get the fan base. You got to do all this. So I'm expected to like be wrestling and like running my company to like 5, 10 fans in the beginning. But I'd love to give a place where people had ring time and you know what I mean, could just shine a little bit more. You know what I mean? Because RICW's got so much talent and nothing against it whatsoever. Because like you know what I mean, they understand they got so much talent that sometimes they really can't use everybody because they got so much going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? It might change a little now with talk of getting a new building and whatnot. RCW like getting a new place or whatever. There might be plenty because like before it was kind of like a time restriction too. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
now, staying with you being a promoter, and before we move on, I was as we were talking earlier, and I know we all like to play Booker, if you will. I'm going to give you a hypothetical scenario. Okay. This has whoever is not mentioned because it's a very small window here. Whoever is not mentioned, it's not to slight anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to give you is a hypothetical scenario. You have your debut event, and I'm not saying this is what it would be when this time comes, but right now in Ref Bob's head, but he's not Ref Bob, he's Booker Bob. So spin it around. We're putting the Booker Bob cap on, and you're going to debut your very first event for your company, right? Now, in my eyes, the opening match and the main event, I know they're not said the same, but I think, in my eyes, I feel you have to have both great opening match and great main event.
Yes. Okay? Yes.
So, with that being said, and I don't want to get into an entire card, with the bookends, what would who would Booker Bob open up his debut show with, and then we'll get to the main event. So give us your opening match.
Well, I'll list a few people just to like not to pinpoint but my opening match would literally be something along the lines of we'll say something like a style of like a Mike Montero, a Dick Lane, a Billy. You know what I'm saying? That good high flying like two people that can work very well together. I mean, not necessarily saying these people, but you get what I'm saying. Like two people that have just two people that have a lot of good chemistry. I actually proved that at the birthday show I did because I opened up with I believe it was Billy Ware and no, actually I'm sorry, it was Deshawn and I think it was Billy Ware. I'd have to look back into it, but basically it was a very fast pace. It was a quick match. I only gave them 5 minutes. I gave them 7 minutes for the opening match, and literally I didn't care who went over. All I told them was go out there and in 7 minutes tear the house down. And they looked at me, they were like, what? I said, flip, do whatever. I was like, it's not like a big grudge match. I'm not asking you guys to like go murder each. Go out there and just throw out a series of things that is going to catch people's attention. Me particularly, I agree with the old school style of like Mike Baker and I don't particularly like the high fly flippy style, but certain people it works with. Mm-hmm. And even though I don't particularly care for that style, I know if you put two guys together that can work that style very well, the crowd is all into that crap. So I put these two guys out. And so that's what I would do. Something very like high pace. It would be a short match, but it wouldn't, because of everything that was going on, it would just literally be, I'll be honest, because it's the very first match of a new promotion, very first match of a new promotion. I literally just have two guys going out there in a spot fest, catch the crowd's attention. Like I literally throw out unless I had like plans for a feud, which is kind of dumb to open up a match with, like starting up a feud. Like if you're just starting a promotion, I would literally just show off my talent. You know, whoever is not in my big main event picture who's getting their belt, get out there. You're my next best thing. Get out there, tear the walls down. As far as a main event, a new promotion,
Pahuze, if you will.
mm,
Now that's a great opening to get the fans really eye catching. You want to see what's going on. You want a lot of flashy stuff going on or whatever, and I appreciate that. Uh, Now you did mention a couple great names. Now I want to pick one out and say, uh, can, can I piggyback on your opening match, sir?
yes, go ahead.
I would love, because of what you just said.
Mm,
As you're speaking, I had two guys in mind. One from well, not really my area. He's from the New York State area,
mm.
but Mike Montero versus Mike Skyros.
Ooh.
All
All
right,
right.
are we talking? Are we talking?
But you get what I'm saying? Like two styles together. And you
Yes.
literally just, hey guys, go out there, have fun,
Yes.
and especially when you get someone like Mike Montero who can go out there and wrestle so many different ways. Like literally, I see Mike Montero. If you don't give him an exact goal and you just tell him to go out there and get the crowd in, Mike, I need you to go out there. That boy will that boy will get that crowd so amped and everything. And the funny thing is, Mike won't do anything in the ring. Like he'll get the crowd behind him and he'll do very little, and he'll get everybody behind him. Now, if you tell Mike Montero to go out there and go crazy, go balls to the wall, that boy will start jumping off of everything. Like, hey Bob, watch, I'm gonna do like a moonsault off of this and through this ladder and through this table, and I remember watching him do the Canadian Destroyer on Billy Weir on the guardrail. I was like, oh my god, because he was told to go out there and tear the house down. You and Billy Weir go out there, tear the house down, hardcore, no rule match, tear the house down, and I looked and I was like, I've never seen anybody take a Canadian Destroyer on a guardrail.
Man, yeah, that'd be some good times. Maybe we can have a double opener. I'd like to see some of that action. That'd be fantastic. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Oh, no.
as we were speaking, Montero versus Skyros was just flying at me for some reason.
No, that's actually something I would love to get together myself, like a match like.
Yeah.
But as far as a main event goes, seeing that it's a new company, the biggest thing I would be doing first of all is I would already have the belt. I don't know if you followed anything on the AWL event page when I actually created that belt that Sire owns. We advertised, like, you know what I mean? Like it was thrown, like there was a whole promo behind the belt, like it was advertised it was a new belt. There was a problem with shipping on the belt, so we kind of like got another like replica belt, and we wound up turning that into a promo where we took the old replica belt, and just to make Sire even more of a heel, we kind of pulled the old Medusa angle, where he was gifted this belt, like he won this belt, he got this belt, he's the big deal, and he looked at this belt, and we had Coach C hand him this custom-made pink and black, like kind of like a Stone Cold belt, but for Sire, pink and black, all nice, got his logos on and everything. He takes the old belt, looks at it, goes, "Oh, well, this piece of trash," and he literally dropped it in the garbage can. And that's when he unveiled the whole So something like that, I would unveil the new belt. Let everybody know the main event is going to be like a big rumble or a battle royal or something along those lines. An idea I've been shooting out for a while. And it's so hard to book. I've been sitting here trying to write it, and I realized what Todd Graham and Chris Dozer were telling me about simplifying it, because now that I'm trying to write it, it's like, oh my god, like this is hard. But anyway, I had a plan for a match that was basically kind of like my own King of the Ring, but it was to prove that you could not only wrestle singles, but you could also wrestle tag team. It was 4 random teams of 4. So altogether, it's 12 guys in a ring, and you're just randomly put on a team. If you get, sorry, getting ahead of myself. So you got these 12 guys, 4 teams of 4, but even though it's tag rules, you got to come in and out as tag. single rules apply, meaning you can get disqualified, you can get counted out, and you're eliminated, which shortens your that team, but it really doesn't matter because it's not really team based. When it gets down to the final four, it literally turns into a fatal four way, and the last person in there with that elimination is basically crowned my king of the ring. I would like to do something like that because it's just something new, and it's an idea I've had tossed through my head for years, but it's hard to write. But I would do something like that because then it literally makes a big star. Like especially if you have a new promotion and you got some of the best workers. Like if I got all the good best workers from the chop shop, you got the Dirt City Murder Crew, you got the Young Guns, you got the Brand, Salvation got back to you know what I mean. You got the Phoenix Legacy, you get those guys together and it's basically who's the best of the best. And this all comes down and it's a new promotion. Well, that one guy who has your belt, well, he's now either your biggest heel because he just proved he could destroy your whole roster, or now he's your biggest baby face because he just showed that he's tough as nails and you know what I mean, went through everybody and now he's your big baby face. It's a good build up and it lets you give somebody a good long title run in the beginning so you can build up that prestige. Because one thing titles turning hands every left and right. It's I know a lot of fans complain about people having long title. I don't get internet wrestling fans anymore. I let them
be. I like, and I've said it on this show. I like long title reigns. I like storylines. I like character. Give me some of that, and I'm fucking hooked.
I like two things. I like big, long title reigns. Okay, I didn't like Brock Lesnar's work ethic, but that whole title reign, it made you want him to lose that belt. It made you want. You said you didn't want to watch it, but it made you want because there was that glimmer that this guy might take it. And then they pulled that surprise, like the Kofi thing. You get your little transitional champion. I love watching that too. When you have somebody with a big title reign and this guy got defeated and this guy got defeated and this guy got defeated, and all of a sudden some little guy comes over and just sneaks a win in and throws you like a big monkey wrench at you. You're like, all right, you know what? I can get behind him. All right, you slay the beast, and you get. I like that. I like the little transitional champions to go back into another good long reign. Again, one of the things I talked to Mike Ellis about was setting up championships. Part of the reason why, first of all, Coach Will was my number one pick to put a belt on. When it came to me helping out Mike Ellis, Coach Will was my number one pick because you know what? You couldn't ask for anything better in a worker. Not even wrestling, just him as a person. If I didn't want to own a wrestler or own another business, I'd give him a job. Just as someone that's in charge of hiring and things at my own personal job, like my shoot job, I'd give that boy a job. No experience and all. I don't care. I can teach you command. He's that great. He does what he's asked. No complaints. Okay, that's what you want me to do. Okay. He's a booker's dream. He's literally no complaints, no nothing. Unless he thinks something is going to he's going to get hurt. There's not a peep. There's no nothing out of Coach. He's the perfect person. So he was the number one choice when Albertson and Wolverine kind of stepped away a little bit. He was my number one choice. Sire has the brand new belt because I need that. I wanted to heal to put a little more prestige in that belt. It's a new belt. I wanted to heal because I wanted people to just wait for him to lose that belt. Okay, he's won that belt by clean methods. He won it by dirty methods. He won it by Coach C's help. You know what I mean? He's done it by himself. It's something where it makes people what's it going to take to get that? So when he finally loses that belt, it's going to be a big deal. But if you have this big heel champion, well, the next step up to a number one contender right now is the next belt down, which is the Patriots Express, which is a 24/7 belt. It only makes sense to give it to our top babyface, and seeing that Coach Will has been here since day one, and he does whatever you ask him to do. And I've seen him in other locker. You put that belt on Coach Will. T. Phoenix came up to me and told me that whole thing where we told you where, Coach Will pulled off the shirt and he had the ref shirt after I took it. T. Phoenix came up to me. And true story, came up to me at the end because Will's in there with his family. Mike Ellis told me, yeah, I'll definitely give him a title shot. Give Coach Will, he deserves one. If he wins it, And the show would let his whole family come in the ring. Let anybody they want come in the ring. Anyway, I'm cleaning up and he's celebrating with his family, and like it was a great moment. And he comes up to me and he goes, "You know what, Bob? That was great." He goes, "That was a good swerve." And I had told him, like, that's not, it wasn't all completely me. It was like all of us that worked together on this whole match of story. It was all. He goes, "No, Bob, you put it together." He goes, "I'll shake your hand for that." He goes, "It was mainly because at the time Sire had both belts, and he was doing this whole like ego trip, like you know what I mean." And I don't know what personal things are there or whatever. You know, I don't get into all that. I stay away from any kind of backstage drama or heat. But anyway, he came up to me. He was just like, "Yep," just to see him get his comeuppings, and that was great, Bob. So that was a good heartfelt moment right there. But yeah, that's basically what I would do. I would do like a big battle royal or something as a main event. You know, build up some like really good like prestige, and it also puts up some mystery. You know what I mean? Because nobody now knows who I'm really building as a top star. Whereas
Right.
you just put two guys in there for a belt. First of all, it makes no sense. Like, why did these two guys out of everybody get the
Right.
fight for the belt? So
Right.
at least
Right off the top. Right off
yeah,
the top of
yeah, right off the
debuting.
bat, battle royal. And I'm not
Yeah.
one. I really don't like battle royals, even though we do use one at AWL, but it's for fear, what I like to call fair booking, which is basically, if we need a number one contender, we have a battle royal. You know, whoever wins the battle royal, you're the number one contender. Like,
Uh, well, we've had quite the afternoon on stirring the pot, and I'm feeling that I might need some supplement in my system.
yeah.
So, uh, before we close this out, we've been talking just about, we're a smidge under an hour and a half now. Before we do close this out, you have spoken of AWL, and some of the people that are within AWL. Before we do close it out, could you speak to us about the company and how you're affiliated and that good stuff?
All right, I'll make this real quick because it's kind of a strange story. Again, as I told you, as the more I trained and the more I found myself getting into more of like backstage and psychology, I found that clicking more with me. So anyway, I pestered the hell out of everybody at the chop shop. Tom Billington, Jamie, how do you work on audio? How do you do this? How do you do that? Why do we do that? So anyway, with that said, I was at an MAW show. I agreed to help Mike Ellis out with an AWL show. What I didn't know was Jerry was basically GC Knight. I don't know if you're from MAW. He was helping Mike Ellis with a lot of the production and everything. So to make a long story short, MAW, it was almost the main event. The main event was Izzy Star and Tony Clash. There was an accident in the ring. The ring was wet. Wolverine had either Wolverine or Jerry, GC Knight, I forget who, but somebody had slid during a DDT. Like they slid taking it. And GC Knight wound up landing on his shoulder. It popped. Well, I thought it popped. I get him backstage. Make a long story short, I grab because he's not around. Nobody that I am like accustomed to running to in an emergency is around, and Jerry is the only other person. So I'm just like, oh crap, I'm on my own. Like I'm in charge. Like oh my god. So basically, make a long story short, we thought Jerry's arm was dislocated, and as soon as I grabbed it, because I was gonna like kind of push it back in, I felt the break. And I was just like, oh no, dude, you broke your leg. You gotta go to the hospital. And GC and I will tell you, I literally took a bunch of gauze pads and tape, and I taped his arm up like this. Grabbed Dave Foley, who was the referee, and was like, yo, drive him to the hospital now. Well, I don't care about your match, drive him to the hospital, go, get out of here. Two, I realized I sent GC Knight away, and he's the only other person that knows how to do production. So I got a crash course in production. So I ran the main event and everything for Tony Clash and um, over there, and they did all that. They go home. It's AWL. I'm getting ready to go do my ref thing. I was gonna be in the battle royal, and I realized that there's nobody that knows how to run anything in that building. And I also said to myself that Jerry's not here and T's not here. I kind of can't leave these people alone in the building. T will have a fit, like we'll lose the building. So I wound up running the show. And then the next time, I ran that show. I got a lot of thanks from Mike. Basically, Mike Ellis asked me if I wanted to give him a hand. I told him, yeah. I created the event page, things like that. And basically, Nick Kacheri on the crew page was the administrator. And he was just like, Bob, if you want to learn how to book and whatever, he's like, here's your opportunity. and he gave me administrative rights of the company, not the company, but of the crew page, and a lot of the guys during the next show, a lot of the guys started coming up to me. Bob, you know what's going on, and I started like sitting there and realizing, oh wait, because I didn't like spend a lot of time training as a wrestler, where wrestlers just spend time on in ring work. I learned all this other stuff that they can't do. Okay, that kind of makes me okay. Yeah, I do know how to do. So yeah, basically, the partnership with me and Mike Ellis was more or less in the conversation I had with T. Because I promised T, and T gave me the big responsibility of, here you go, Bob. You want to be Booker? He didn't give me keys or anything, but like he would open up the chop shop for me, and he would leave me there. Okay, Bob. The fans, everybody's safety, that's all on you. I'm trust. I don't do this to anybody, Bob. I like you. I'm trusted, and that's basically how it came about. So like Mike Ellis runs. It's his company. It's his dream. He does all the writing and everything there. What I've done is I use my connects of different places I worked and different wrestlers, and brought them in to help Mike Ellis work, because he's got people there, but they need a lot of work. Like a lot of the workers we have there, they're inexperienced. So I brought in a lot of experienced people. Billy Ware, Coach Will. I brought in Deshaun comes in and helps us out. Like I brought some people that are like established to work with some of the younger talent. And again, like I said, my dream is to basically give these guys that wouldn't get ring time anywhere else, like they really wouldn't get ring time anywhere else other than training, a place where they can go and work. And the only thing I do now with Mike is Mike writes his matches. The only thing I really do as far as that is I might switch around the opponents a little bit. All right, I like that idea, but let's put these two guys together, because these two guys together, like it's just somebody's gonna get hurt, or like it's just gonna be sloppy. So let's swap this around. But yeah, that's basically my sole job with AWL, and that's how I got it. Because sadly, GC Knight had to retire, and all my pestering and annoying everybody actually like came to be something that turned out useful. So,
Well, thank you for sharing that story, because I wasn't aware when I was going to the MAW stuff. I wasn't aware of what AWL was, because I didn't see it, and then all of a sudden it kind of popped out, and then I seen that Maniac Mike was part of it, and I was like, okay, all right, all right.
well, one last thing I'll
Yeah,
talk about with AWL. The other thing is, it's a lot of my friends, Dave Mata, Eddie Vegas, a lot of my good brothers who helped me out along the way, used to wrestle for USWF. And anyway, their friend, Giant Puma, he had passed away. And Mike Ellis literally started AWL and basically the Puma Rumble as a tribute to his friends. Now, they all, Elberson and Mater and all them, gave me the opportunity to actually have my very, very, very first match ever in this Rumble, and they walked me all through it. I mean, even though I was the bird, I got destroyed. I was so sore. But they gave me the opportunity to actually, like, wrestle. And I was grateful for that. So I always told Mike Ellis, like, I'm just that way. Like, you help me, I'll do anything for you. Like, you gave me that opportunity, I'll help you.
that's
And he
cool.
needed to help. And in the same token, like everybody said to me, you know what, Bob? It's a learning experience. Just take it, run with it. See where it gets you.
Well, I'm glad to see that you've hooked up with some good minds to get you in the direction, because like you said, you want to get more behind the scene than in ring.
Don't get me wrong,
So
I never stop refereeing. I love being a referee. I
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. No, but I see, again, you've got a passion. We love talking wrestling. Uh, there's a lot of people that you mentioned that are helping you along the way. You're in return, even though you were learning at the same time and still continue to learn, you're helping others at the same token because of the experience you've already gained. So this whole full circle of people passing on the knowledge, I love hearing this.
it's how
Um,
wrestling works. It's
yeah,
it's literally how wrestling works. Like I
absolutely.
tell everyone from 5 years ago, I went from a fan to literally a ring hand, a referee, to where I am now. Like, you know, You know, like I think it's great that I actually get a pop as big as the wrestlers when I walk out of that curtain. And I walk out of that curtain and it's bah, and I get applauded. It's like I almost want to like climb the top rope and just be like, yeah.
But don't do that. Don't
Oh
do
no, 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 no. I
that.
ever did that. I ever did that. Oh my God, teach. No, oh my, I'd have so many people on me.
Yeah, talking about getting chopped, you'd get fucking lit, man. You would
Oh
get
yeah.
lit.
Oh, I did. Oh, I did.
uh, Ref Bob, you've been an absolute delight on Stirring the Pot tonight to close us off on a Saturday evening, and I appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. This has been
Oh
a
yeah,
blast.
oh yeah. And for your first podcast or interview, because I don't like calling this a podcast. It's just a couple guys hanging
It's a
out, a
couple
couple
guys
people
talking.
hanging out. Um, uh, you did very well. You were a
Thank you.
fantastic guest, very informational. And again, you can see the passion that you have for wrestling as a fan, and as within the business.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it, you love it, and you're gonna do something. Very again, it's not if, it's when.
It's when.
For sure.
It's when.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Ref Bob. Thank you for spending the time with us, my friend.
Thank you.